From the beginning, he has never accepted me.
No, he's accepted you.
No. He tolerates me, barely. His daughter marrying a hearing man, I just... Deaf pride, that's one thing. Deaf prejudice, that's another.
Not true. You're wrong.
Well, don't underestimate prejudice.
ASL is just a kind of English, right?
American Sign Language is not English.
No? Isn't sign language just making English with your hands?
No, it is its own official language unto itself. The average hearing person has no idea how complex sign language can be.
Dr. Cannon, as a professor with a PhD in linguistics, would you agree that language creates culture?
It's the standard we use to define any culture around the world.
So, since ASL is an official language, does that mean that deafness is a culture?
Their language is their culture. Their sense of self as a people. Their history, traditions, dignity, power. All of it. It's all carried forward and lives in their hands.
Dr. Harvey, what does the future hold for Adam as a deaf child?
Well, according to the data available, the average deaf person in this country leaves high school reading at the level of a fourth grader.
Objection. Is counsel suggesting that deaf people can't read? That's absurd. The average hearing American graduates high school reading at the level of a fifth grader.
Your Honor, the data reflects the national average. Ms. Tate will have her opportunity to challenge these findings on cross-examination.
Take a seat, Miss Tate. Wait your turn.
What if Adam wants to go to college, get a degree?
He would need a sign language interpreter with him all the time in the classroom.
And if Adam somehow manages to get a deaf education, what kind of livelihood can he expect?
The average deaf adult earns far below the national standard. A large percentage of deaf adults receive government subsidies, disability insurance.
Wait a minute. How is it that a deaf person can accept a disability insurance check with one hand and yet claim they are not disabled but a culture with the other?
Objection. Misleading and grossly prejudicial.
Sustained?
I withdraw it. Dr. Harvey, as a professor of sociology, would you agree that when Adam Miller's hearing disappeared at age 4, so did many of his life's options and opportunities?
In my opinion, that would be a true statement, yes.
Thank you.
Hey, what's going on?
I thought maybe I could work from home, in the afternoons for a while. I told the office that I'd be working, half days.
Why?
To have time with you and with Adam.
Adam developed deafness, not cancer. He's making appointments, making decisions, without even asking me. That's so not like us.
Ray will do the same thing sometimes. Men, they don't think it matters.
Dan and I always talk about everything together, especially about Adam. That's why I feel so, I don't know. Do you and Ray talk about everything?
Sometimes I think that Ray will talk to his best friend about things that he doesn't say to me.
Dan and I have always said, I married my best friend.
So, if that's the case, what are you gonna do?
I don't know. Hi. Do you remember sound?
Some things.
What do you remember? Do you miss hearing things? When you think of sound, do you wish you could hear things again?
I'm full. Done.
I wonder if maybe it would have been easier if he'd never heard sound before. If he'd been born deaf like me.
Easier? For whom?
I remember the first time I understood there was sound in the world. I was a little girl. My grandmother was hearing. She was outside sweeping the porch. And I remember that's when I realized that's sound. I'm supposed to know what's right for him.
You do know.
Do I?
Honrarás a tu esposo y a tu...
Of your parents are hearing impaired? Oh, they're deaf. Well, you see, usually okay, my signing isn't what it used to be.
Oh, I'll interpret.
Thank you. You see, most of the parents I see about implants are hearing. 90% of deaf kids have hearing parents.
Well, when I was born deaf, my parents celebrated, especially my father. See, he's big on deaf pride and deaf culture. He even wrote a book about it. If he knew I was here, I know.
More and more deaf parents are getting implants for their children, if that helps you.
That makes me sad. Well, we're just here to get information, that's all. Tell me about the surgery.
Surgeon drills a hole through the skull into the chamber of the inner ear. And he inserts the electrodes through the hole into the cochlea. Takes 3 to 5 weeks for the incision to heal. And then there's an external transmitter that attaches by magnet.
Then he can hear?
Not yet.
Yeah, well, how long before he gets his hearing back?
You do understand that implants don't cure deafness. When he removes the device, he's still a deaf child.
So, what? Is he a deaf child who hears, or is he a hearing child who's deaf? No, he's our son. No, he's too young. He just turned 8. I know.
Actually, it's easier for a child whose brain is still developing to learn to process different sounds. We find that the younger the child is, the better the results we see. We've implanted kids as young as 12 months.
I'm trying to keep an open mind. I really am.
But that's why it's very important for both of you to understand what implants can and cannot do. Come with me. I want you to see something.
David, I'm going to put this on your ear. And then I'll start this. And if you hear anything, you tell me, okay?
I scheduled your appointment so you could see this.
See? It's the same. I'm going to activate the implant.
Now, the hearing aid only amplifies the sound, makes it louder. With an implant, 16 electrodes are surgically inserted into the inner ear.
Okay?
Now, that's the processor attached to his ear there. That sends the sound impulses to the implant, which turns them into electronic signals. And then they are sent directly to the brain. The whole thing runs on a rechargeable battery.
Are you ready? Okay, go ahead.
David? David? Is he hearing me?
It's okay, keep trying.
David? David?
Try again.
David?
David? David? Oh, darling.
Hey, can you hear me? Can he hear me?
Well, he can't tell it's your voice, but he is responding to the sound.
Now, it'll take some time to retrain Adam's brain to receive sound again. And then he'll need speech therapy.
Well, maybe at Adam's school we can...
Oh, no, Adam would have to change schools.
School. Why?
Well, with an implant, he'll be going to a mainstream school to learn how to listen and speak.
What about his signing?
Well, that would become his second language. And with time, Adam will be able to sign at home and speak in here in the outside world. Switch back and forth.
But he won't feel part of the hearing world because he'll never hear what the other kids hear. And he won't feel part of the deaf world because he'll never be totally deaf.
Well, I think you'll find that Adam will have the best of both worlds.
And what do you say? What do you say when Adam says, Daddy, why? Why are you doing this to me?
What,
Is there
could
something wrong with being deaf? I don't get it. Tell me, what are you going to tell him?
What do I say when he looks up at me and he says, you had the chance to get my hearing back and you did nothing? What do I say then? Oh, I know. Sorry, it wasn't politically correct.
Wait, you...
But folks, if you decide to go through with this, what we do is we assign a psychologist to your case. It's routine.
Well, Adam doesn't need a shrink.
Oh, no. This is to evaluate the two of you as a couple. This is a life choice that you're making for your family. For it to work, you both have to be in complete agreement.
And if we're not?
Then don't do it.
Star Command Night Warrior. Come in, Night Warrior. Do you read me? Uh-oh! An alien creature! Blast him! Blast him! Blam! Blam, blam! Blam! Hey, cut it out! He's an alien! He can play with us. Talks like this. Look at me, I'm dead. I'm dead. Stop it! Look at me, I'm dead. I'm dead. Can't use these. Stop it!
Mark! Stop that! Get off of him! What? Come here! What is going on? Come here.
you.
He was making fun of Adam.
Oh,
Say you're sorry, Todd. No. Say you're sorry.
I think that's a good idea. Say you're sorry. Todd.
How do you say, I'm sorry?
Todd.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to help the guys at the office with the King account. Can't seem to do anything without me. So, you went through my briefcase?
Adam was drawing a picture. He likes those colored pens of yours.
Yes. We're set with a psychologist to be evaluated as a couple.
So, we are going ahead.
For now,
And when did we decide that?
I was gonna show you.
Oh, I see. Evaluation as a couple.
Mrs. Miller, would you say you're a close family?
Yes.
You enjoy being a grandmother?
Oh, I love it. I adore Adam. He's my pride and joy. That's why I just don't understand.
You don't understand what?
What mother, if given the chance, would deny her child the ability to hear?
Mrs.
to
Miller, could
speak?
you wait until...
If it were my child, I would do anything to help him.
But isn't it true that if Adam were in this courtroom today, you, as his grandmother, would be unable to communicate with him? To tell him that you love him?
He knows that I love him. I tell him all the time.
But how? You don't speak the same language.
I hold him. I hug him. He sees it in my face. It's beyond words. It doesn't matter what language we speak.
No further questions.
Let me ask you this. If your own daughter, Laura, were hearing, would you love her any less?
Of course not. Mother loves her child no matter what.
So the fact that she is deaf is actually irrelevant, isn't it? And gives her no advantage, pro or con, as a mother. Isn't that what you're saying?
Objection, leading.
Seeking clarification, Your Honor.
I'll allow it. What I'm saying is, my daughter and I share a deep bond. We're both mothers. There is no word for it, no sign. It's a woman's love of her child. It connects Adam to Laura, her to me, all of us, all women, into a vast network, much more important than any internet.
What about Dan? Can't a man, a father, deaf or hearing, have the same connection with his child?
Dan is a wonderful father. I know that he loves Adam deeply, that they share a deep bond of their own. But I also know that there are many deaf people for whom the implant was not successful. Dan needs to know that with or without the implant, Adam will always be deaf, and he must never be denied his sign language.
What is deaf pride?
Dignity, self-respect.
Can someone who acquires deafness, is not born deaf, have deaf pride?
Well, no, it's not the same.
How so? Being born deaf gives you what?
A deeper understanding, appreciation of the deaf world.
So are you saying there are two worlds, one for the hearing, one for the deaf?
Yes.
But isn't it true that the only difference between a deaf and hearing person is that one hears and the other doesn't? Otherwise, they are entirely the same.
No, it's more than that. As I explained in my book, we are a minority in this country with a culture. And like other minorities, we have some painful history. Discrimination, prejudice, lack of opportunity. All we want is to be ourselves, be perceived as people, and to celebrate who we are.
But wouldn't life be easier for you if you could hear?
The majority always thinks each minority wants to be like them. Most hearing people think that a deaf person, if given the chance, would rather be hearing than deaf. Not true, not for me. I know who I am. I have my people, I have my language, I have my culture, my identity. Let me be. As my wife says, God made all of us different for a reason.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to all.
Daddy. Daddy.
Yes, what is it? Potatoes? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Daddy.
You're welcome. Ready.
When did that start? Adam speaking.
Stop it. What is going on? Something is wrong with you and Dan. What is it?
Dan, he and I think we should...
Are you two planning to separate?
No. Dan thinks we should explore the idea of getting Adam an implant.
No, Mom, we just finished. I wish you and Dad were here. You won't believe what. Wait a minute, hold on a second. It's Grandma. She wants to talk to you. Okay? All right. Use your voice. You sounded great, and it would make her very, very happy. So say, hello, Grandma. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay? Here. No. Just use your voice. Please. Okay. He says, hi, Grandma. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. Yeah. She says, happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Did you eat a lot of turkey?
You would never stick an implant in our grandson.
You know that I love him the way he is. But I'm just so afraid. What if I'm holding him back in some way?
Holding him back? Has being deaf held me back?
No, of course not.
When I was his age, I was the only deaf kid in the entire town. I was made fun of. I was beat up. I was alone.
She knows.
Nobody ever signed to me. Nobody. My father told me to talk like he did. He'd tie my hands together and lock me in a closet to keep me from signing.
Yes, it was awful. She knows.
My father wanted my deafness to go away. Like these implants. Wipe us out. No more deaf.
She has to figure out what's best for her son. You can't force your experience on her.
You're a deaf mother with a deaf son.
I'm his mother first.
You are deaf first.
And Dan is still his father.
Dan is ashamed of his own son.
And wife?
Stop it, both of you.
Dan loves me from my heart, not my ears. I am Dan's wife, not his
I
deaf
see
wife.
different.
His wife. What do you see? That Dan doesn't love me anymore?
Dan thinks we're handicapped, disabled.
No. The truth is, you think that about yourself.
Come on, let's go.
You're a proud man, and I love you. But you live too much with a capital D, deaf way or no way. You see yourself as a deaf man instead of just a man.
End of subject. Finished. You were born deaf. You have a responsibility to pass on our culture.
Born deaf. Born deaf. As if that made me more deaf.
It's time for all of this to stop. Tell her.
You...
You were born hearing. You were the most beautiful baby I had ever seen.
Is that true?
On the morning you were born, I